All right, everybody, welcome. It's time to call our March work session to order. We've got a really easy agenda tonight, and we have no need for executive session either, so we may get home earlier than normal. We have a few awards and presentations and proclamations coming up next Monday night, and I'll let Sam talk, but wanted to do something to commend Rosemary Walsh for her many, many years of service on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I think this is not new information to anybody. She is struggling through some significant health challenges, and it's the right time to just commend her for everything that she's done for the city. So we wrote a proclamation. I think a copy of it is in the e-packet for y'all to look at. Sam has been in communication with the family, and I'll just let you kind of take it over from here.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have been in communication with her family. Rosemary is now living in an assisted living facility, and just celebrated her 87th birthday in December. I know, right? She's 87 years young is what I say. Young is appropriate for Rosemary because her energy and her passion is just what really has shaped the community. She's been an advocate and a devoted member of our community for almost 30 years now. She has always believed in investing in our younger generation, speaking up for them, encouraging them. And, there's never been an issue where she's not in some capacity provided her spicy opinion on. So anyone that knows Rosemary knows that she definitely has a spicy personality, and that's because she stands up for what she cares about. She speaks up, and she believes in our community, and she loves our community. And so I think that being that she's such a true friend to Sugar Hill, to all of us in some capacity, her voice, her spirit, her hugs. If anyone has had a Rosemary hug, they know that they are genuine and warm and kind. And so having the opportunity to celebrate her and her 87 years and everything that she's done to our community just feels right.
Maybe some of her family members will be here, if not Rosie, I think.
So we're figuring out a way to have Rosie here, not to go too much into her condition, but she did have a surgery that kind of makes her a little immobile. But we do want her family here, and her family has committed to being here. So her daughter Laura, her husband, and potentially her son. So she will have some representation here, and hopefully more, if not possible.
Appreciate it. Next, I have a proclamation for the National Day of Prayer, which is May the 7th. And I've never done this. I'm not sure if anybody's ever done this in the past, but I was approached by several pastors that want to do a National Day of Prayer ceremony here in Sugar Hill. We're kind of working out the location for that, and they're working out the agenda for it as well. But part of the process is us doing a proclamation related to the National Day of Prayer. I do want to say this is not non-denominational, it is cross-denominational. So not just Christians, but other religious groups and backgrounds participated in it as well. They provided me with a template of an agenda that they have used in the past, and it's pretty impressive, the number of folks that are involved in it. And so this is just something that they ask us to do. Next, I'll move on to the Plan First designation recognition. And we've talked about our Plan First designation before in the past, but I happened to be with Art at the Capitol last week, and the city of Sugar Hill, along with the other recipients, were formally recognized and given a plaque. And they talked very specifically about why we were chosen and just wanted to give us an opportunity to kind of honor Art and the entire planning team for the great work that they've done and for the recognition. And so just wanted to give that opportunity for us on Monday night. And then this is not for addition. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no issues with any of those. I'm happy for all those proclamations, but I'd like to see us do one next month. It used to be customary that for the outgoing council members, we give them a plaque for their terms of service, and I don't think we've done that after the last two elections. And make sure we go ahead and get that scheduled for next month so it doesn't continue to slide. Thank you.
Sounds good. Absolutely want to do that for Taylor and the others. And then I just want to mention, we've got some of our events team here, Cameron and Caitlin and Alyssa, who is not here tonight. They attended the Southeastern Festival and Events Association annual conference last week. And this is a regional conference that's attended by various festivals and events, and over, I think, 100 cities participate in it and are involved in it. And there were many cities from Gwinnett County that were present at the conference. Some of the, I think, key learning opportunities for staff were, how to do grant writing, how to organize volunteers, and how to brand merchandise. And there were just a lot of different learning opportunities at the conference. But I think the best takeaway from the conference was 3 awards that the city received. We received best event. We received silver for best event T-shirt design for Sugar Rush, which is pretty cool. We also received best gold for best event website, which again was for Sugar Rush, and I know that's a collaborative effort between the events department and our communications department, and so congratulations to both of y'all on that. And then the big surprise, and not really a surprise because he's pretty outstanding, but the event professional of the year, and that is for the entire association, was Cameron. He won that, and so. And we all know what a great job they do here in our city, but for them to be recognized by their peers, that's a big deal. And so congratulations to y'all, and we're proud of you. And then that's it. We'll now move on to old business, and I'll hand it over to Mr. Page.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. This is something that was tabled last month, and we were seeking some more information from Georgia Department of Transportation regarding our motorized car ordinance. So I guess I'll ask Troy if he can give us an update on what we were seeking clarification from GDOT.
I think there was a component of the ordinance that made reference to Georgia DOT and authorized routes that could be utilized for golf cart or low-speed vehicles. Georgia DOT has not approved any intersections on a state route or any of their jurisdictional routes for low-speed vehicles, but they were open to the conversation. I think there's some upgrades that might be necessary at intersections for them to authorize or allow it. Off system, I think they didn't have any comments on anything else.
Thank you, Troy. And we've updated this to kind of encompass that and some liability issues from, I guess, our initial conversation back in October. I think the marshals have reviewed it. They're okay with it, with our permitting process that we have in here. So now it's up to council to review, approve at this point. So open to any questions or ask anyone else here.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions of Josh? Any thoughts?
I have one question.
Yes, Meg.
I was wondering if there are any other cities in Gwinnett County that follow a similar ordinance.
Not that I am aware of. most of the jurisdictions that we saw or looked at were kind of on the fringes of the metro Atlanta area, or were, so like Carrollton, Peachtree City, so cities that are in the metro Atlanta area but are not in Gwinnett.
And for people who have golf carts now, what will be the procedure to let them know that they need to register and be aware of this ordinance?
It's up to our marshals to implement our permitting process. So I'm assuming we're going to have some sort of grace period in order to get permitting done. Don't let me take away from our chief marshal, and if he already has some ideas. I know we've been talking about this before we brought it already to the table, but there's a nominal fee that they'd be willing to pay, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of grace period putting on the website and things like that, and just simple education of as they see them downtown of, hey, this ordinance has been passed, please register your low-speed or motorized cart within X amount of time.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Yes, my only question, I'm sorry. Lots of golf questions. My only question is for section 72N. It says seatbelt shall be worn by all occupants at all times. Have we confirmed that every golf cart has a seatbelt?
Hey, could you say the page number, if you don't mind?
Page 6.
Okay.
The very bottom, it's N. Seatbelt shall be worn by all occupants. I know we have a golf cart. We do not have seatbelts.
Chief Marshal, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that is a requirement of it being able to be driven on the road, period. It has to have a seatbelt. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, I think that's the state law, if I understand it, so don't have a whole lot of flexibility there. Any other questions? Alvin?
So the permitting will be handled by the marshals, but on page 572-78, it also speaks on motorized carts must adhere to all traffic laws and regulations. Enforcement of those, how would that be handled in regards to ticketing and, and ensuring that, again, we just not stopping and not giving any,
We're going to phone a friend here.
Well, as far as the ticketing goes, we would have to get with the court to see what citations we can run through city court, because it is a traffic citation, and we don't want to violate that agreement we have with the county. So we would have to look at where we could go with those tickets, either recorder's court, or if it's something that we can handle within the city, then we would, but we also have to look at adopting the uniform rules of the road, and I don't know if we have in the past. I very vaguely remember, but in order for us to enforce that, that has to be adopted as well. So the Title 40 has to be adopted into the city ordinance as well. And just for clarification on the seat belts, they are aftermarket seat belts that you can purchase to be placed on the golf carts. And before, on the permitting side of it, when someone calls and asks, to be permitted, we'll actually go to their house and do the permitting there. We don't want them to get it on the roadway prior to anything. We want to make sure everything's in good working order and safe to be operated on the roadway.
And Chief, just to clarify, I'm sorry, they will need a driver's license if they're going to utilize it on the major roadways?
Yes,
Okay,
they
so
will.
no 13-year-olds out driving?
No.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there is a speed limit, there's a speed limit that kicks in, like for low-speed vehicles, and so
Yes.
it can't go on you can't take a golf cart on Level Creek Road. where
Right,
I'm
it has
at.
to be, I think is it 25 miles an hour or less? That's where you can operate the vehicle. Now, you can cross over Highway 20 or Peachtree Industrial with those crossings in place.
And I know mostly who I've heard from are people that live in neighborhoods, and they'll be able to get around in Wild Timber and other bigger neighborhoods with their golf carts, so,
Very common these days.
yep. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay. We'll move on to new business. Item number 2. Art?
Thank you, Mayor. For your consideration this evening from the Mayor and Council, we are presenting some updates to our food truck and mobile vendors ordinance, and I'll call on Ms. Howard to speak on that a bit for you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have before you this evening a request to update the city's code regarding food trucks or mobile food vendors. Staff has found the existing ordinance leaves a lot of unanswered questions, and it also doesn't require insurance. The existing ordinance is a bit vague about hours and operation locations and how the trucks should operate. So we looked at other cities, Suwanee, Alpharetta, Roswell, and tried to discern what the important elements were. And in the proposed language you have in front of you, we included some provisions stipulating they can't operate between 11 p.m. and 6:30 a.m., so overnight. They must have consent from the property owners. They are allowed in commercial districts, not residential. However, ice cream trucks are allowed in residential. They must maintain an insurance policy, and let's see, that's about it. This is there's a $25 permit fee, which is very reasonable, and it establishes penalties for violations. One thing I noticed that should be in there is that the provision does not apply to city-sponsored events, so it would be nice if we could add that in there, please, between now and next time. That completes the presentation, if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Yes, Josh?
So let's say I have a food truck and I'm operating in Suwanee, Duluth, and I come to Sugar Hill. Is this essentially I have to get a permit for each municipality? Is that correct?
I believe state law requires, that says you don't.
Okay. So if I have one in Suwanee, it ports kind of over here to Sugar Hill, and that complies with us. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd have to check with the city attorney to verify, but I believe that you can.
Recognize?
Yeah, I think that you can, I think state law requires you to have it just in one city and not every one that you operate in.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm assuming enforcement of this, I mean, because I think there's a line item in here about like 11 p.m. Is that going to fall on the marshals? I'm assuming that's outside of code enforcement to do that, right?
If there's a food truck that's operating downtown, right outside the apartments at, midnight. Yeah, it would.
And I'm mainly thinking like our, the BP station, there's always there's a great pupusa stand, go encourage them, but they are there late night. There's a taco at the Shell station, that's a great one as well. There's one at North Price, there's another taco, also a great one. They do operate late at night, so I just want to make sure, if we're putting a rule in place, who's going to be enforcing it? Because I hate to put a rule in place and it's just there to be said, so.
Our main concern was the downtown area.
Okay.
Protecting the downtown area. So we can add to that in there that just in the downtown area that you can't operate between these hours, if that's what you'd like.
I think that'd be ideal.
Okay.
I'm not really concerned with people operating at the BP. If the BP's open, the Shell's open, let them go.
Okay.
Yeah. If that's the will of the council.
I agree with you. All right, any other questions? Meg?
Yes, I have a question about the permit, which is mentioned on page 4. Is that $25 permit for an entire year, or is it just for a specific event or a specific purpose?
Specific event.
Okay, so that if they
Per
chose 4
instance.
events, it's $25 for each event.
That's what we're planning, yeah. Alpharetta charges $175 annually. That obviously can be changed, whatever you think's appropriate, but that's what we were thinking.
And then also on page 2, first it says that the mobile food vendors, the way I interpret that, they will conduct business for city events only. But then item B, C, a mobile food vendor shall not operate on any property without the prior consent of the owner. So it doesn't have to be a city event, correct?
No, it doesn't have to be, which is how this came about, as we were fielding a lot of questions from potential operators who were not affiliated with the city's events. You said which items, A, was it A? Okay. Yeah, without prior consent of the property owner.
If somebody could have a food truck, but obviously so, that's not a city event. And then my next question on page 4, when it talks about item 1, the information that you need for each application for a mobile food vendor permit. My question is, should they not also have a business license? And one of the reasons I was asking this is because I knew somebody who wanted to be a vendor at Sugar Rush. She was required to have a business license with the city of Sugar Hill first.
I think that's where the state law comes in, if I'm not mistaken, Frank, that they don't have to have a business license with every municipality, the food trucks?
They don't have to have a business license with every municipality, but they have to have a business license from some jurisdiction. If they can't, they cannot legally operate.
But it doesn't have to be us.
But the idea that they have to show you that they indeed do have a business license, it would make sense to add that requirement, because they have to have a business license in some jurisdiction or they are not authorized to do business in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, we can add that.
Great, thank you, Frank, because I thought of that too, everything that was required. So that would be great to require a proof that they do have a business license.
And I'll just, Mayor, if I may, just quickly just say that aligns with what we typically have. So say, for instance, if someone's applying for a building permit, we will have a copy of their business license from, as Frank said, whichever jurisdiction, where they're based, for their electrical or plumbing or what have you. So it aligns with our current practices.
As was the conversation we just had, I just was looking at the ordinance. I think it specifically refers to the Gwinnett County Department of Health. State law also says it doesn't necessarily have to be the Gwinnett County Department of Health. If their home location is in Fulton, then their state health inspection is going to be from Fulton County or DeKalb County or Clay County or any of the 150, however many counties there are in the 159 counties that are in the state of Georgia. So we should update that language. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the Gwinnett County Department of Health. They just have to have
A state. Okay.
a inspection certificate from a health department in the state of Georgia. Would not necessarily be Gwinnett, because it'd be wherever their home jurisdiction is.
Okay.
And then also on page 4, at the bottom, item A, it says the permit fee shall be $25 for each push cart or vehicle. It might be a good idea to say the permit is for a specific event.
Each instance.
It's not just, it's not good for a month, it's not good for a year. It's good for that event.
Got it.
And I might have a little bit of a heartburn about something, and I'll put it out there, and let me know what you think about it. We have some food trucks that operate in different places around Sugar Hill. One in particular, Josh mentioned, they set up at BP quite a bit. I'm worried about every time they set up, they have to get a permit every time. And I just don't know how that's logistically possible. They have to come in here every day and pay $25 for a permit to set up at BP. That could be really cost prohibitive for some of these vendors. The one in particular that I'm talking about, like, they're doing a food truck because their dream someday is to open up a restaurant in Sugar Hill. So I might have a little bit of a heartburn about the regularity of the permit fee.
We could do an annual fee with like a cap on how many per month or something to that effect?
I think the goal here, number one, we want to protect our downtown, right? But the goal here is to essentially know who's operating in our community. I'm not so worried about a Mamacita's setting up at a BP as I am somebody just coming in here and parking on a spot in the downtown and selling food. That's- Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like Sawmill. Some Sundays, they will set up in the church parking lot, and a portion of their sales goes towards the youth ministry program at the church. Rod, who owns Sawmill, he actually provides for free food to all of the Lanier High School athletes on the Lanier High School campus. And so technically, every time he's there giving free food to the athletes, he'd have to pay this permit fee of $25. And so I just want to look out for people like that are doing good things in our community and not punish them. Yeah.
Can we specify if it's a nonprofit organization or
That
a
we
specific
could have
church
the fee
function?
waived if it's nonprofit or
Yeah,
or church?
they're not nonprofit. Like he makes money at different places, but he just he has that ministry where he sometimes goes to the high school. So
What if we had this annual fee, whatever that be? I mean, we're talking peanuts in terms of our budget here, but we've got to cover our admin cost of whatever this is going to, I mean, we're asking for lots of information to verify. I mean, some sort of annual fee, but I felt like we were talking about two different things, so maybe I missed the mark. I thought we were talking about $25 for events. If we had an event, $25, but this is actually referring to anytime I brought my food truck here, you're going to charge me $25. That's no bueno to me. That's not good. But I'd be okay with a yearly permit,
Okay.
And I think you have the date on here, all permits shall expire 12 p.m. midnight. I'm good with that, an annual permit of whatever that annual fee looks like. And then on top of that, I think if we're doing events, I think there should be something, because we've got vendors coming in and out. I mean, you guys somehow verify. I'm not sure if our event team already verified their health stuff. So that $25 if that sets up, and bake that into their fees or whatever. But I think kind of almost two different fee structures that should be decoupled here, I think. So.
Okay.
I would agree. I think for festivals and such,
Yeah, the intention was not to get involved in the special events or the parks, anything that they have going on. It was more aimed at protecting the downtown. So we can make provisions in there that kind of separate those.
thank you for letting us ask you questions.
Sure.
We all have our own experiences with different vendors that are, they're Sugar Hill they're startups,
Yeah.
and they're trying to get a start towards a restaurant.
Found a lot of gray in the ordinance,
Yeah.
and when people would come in, it became apparent that the city wasn't fully protected, especially the downtown, and so that's what kind of drove the proposal.
And I agree. I think Mamacita's reached out to me, and they were asking if we had anything, in our ordinance related to food trucks. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no clue, and so encourage them to reach out, and we totally get that, what you're trying to accomplish. Yes, sir.
yeah,
Gary.
I think we don't want a food truck pulling up in front of a restaurant, right? And taking away from the business that they're there to provide. So, yeah, special events downtown, and then just, and I think that's what the section that you were looking at, Meg, with the hours there, those hours only applied to running business. You were only allowed to run them late downtown in conjunction with a special event. They did not appear, the second line that you're talking about didn't have hours listed at all, so they weren't restricted outside of the downtown area. But, yeah, I think we do want to have some protections for an existing restaurant and be able to limit where they can pull up. But as you were saying, on private property, outside, not as big a deal.
Yeah. We have all the time in the world, really.
Thank you again for putting
All right.
up with us.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next we'll move on to item number 3, and that is a natural gas safety plan. Paul, I think you're going to handle that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is an update to the Gwinnett County-wide safety plan related to natural gas. The update's needed because of some activity that's happening in Gwinnett by AGL. And so, working with the AGL and the Public Service Commission, this is an update to that would require the signature of all parties. And excuse me, the ask is to authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city. And then the other mayors will sign as well as AGL and the Public Service Commission. That's what that is.
All right, thank you, Paul. Any questions about that? All right, no questions. So we will move on to your discussions and updates, Paul.
All right, thank you. There probably are some of your neighbors that may be reacting to gas bills they've received from the cold weather in January and February. I did want to provide a little context. I do feel very strongly about the city of Sugar Hill and its ability to deliver very cost-effective and very safe energy source to our residents. It's something that most municipal gas systems in the state of Georgia are very proud of, but I wanted to say that and also provide some information for you in case you get questions. So this is a screen clip from Public Service Commission page for January 2026 pricing. One of the more competitive options that is available to those that can choose their own gas system is from True Natural Gas. 147 is the apples to apples price per therm. And so I clicked through just to see what that would be, and it ends up being on their plan that they offer at 82 cents. The reason I'm bringing this up is that a lot of folks do feel like that the proper comparison is the ads that you see on TV for 36 cents a therm in the summertime, or it's 82 cents a therm in the case of True Natural Gas. I've actually had True Natural Gas, and I paid a lot more than Sugar Hill Gas customers when I had it. I've also got an all-electric house, so I pay a lot more than a gas customer would for heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. So my bill last month was $318 in that case. But I just wanted to point out that our rates are very cheap, so to speak. 97 cents for January, 99 cents for February. True Natural Gas was 82 cents, but their apples to apples price per therm is $1.56. So this is what it looks like on our website. So I encourage you, if you have questions, we do post this on the website every month. This is a chart that compares the average bill for January against all the other marketers that you hear about on television. So we are less than all of them, but we are certainly half of what you would get from big names like True Natural Gas, Gas South, and Georgia Natural Gas. So those are some ones that you'll see there. And we do take advantage of the things that we've talked about in the past, where we buy large sums of gas in advance, years in advance, so we get the best rate possible for our winter months. And it's a way to hedge against some of the increased prices when there's high demand. So some information for you there. Back to some construction activity. The subcontractor for Amshiv has mobilized on the north side of Highway 20 with one of the cranes. They'll be doing the pile driving on the bents that are on that side of the bridge. So we do anticipate them gearing up this week for that, excavating to get down to subgrade to drive those piles. I did want to mention, I think there might have been an email over the weekend about an accident on 20. This is actually a Gwinnett County project to signalize the intersection of State Route 20 and Old Cumming. It was a part of the development on the corner here that required that developer to participate in the cost of the signal. They have paid Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County has awarded a contract, and they have ordered materials that are coming in, anticipating installation somewhere in the June, July timeframe once school's out. And here's the playground at Ridge Lake Park. We're very happy with the way it looks. The material for the play surface was monochromatic. I think we had some input on that. And then we do have some shade structures. In this image, the dog park is on the lower left of the image, and the pavilion is actually being graded currently and is going to be on the pond side of the playground. So it will also provide an area for parents and folks to watch kids as they play. There were a lot of folks out there this weekend, I heard, so it was very busy. We probably could build another one or two and fill it up as well. Some other images of what the surface looks like. There's the dog park on the right of the
Hey,
picture.
Troy, is it officially open? I mean, is it?
Yeah, we're going to do a ribbon cutting, but it's open, yes.
Absolutely.
Back on the bridge where you showed that diagram and you showed or mentioned that pilings are going up on the other side of the road, is there any sort of support in the median, or is it a complete span across both lanes?
It'll span the road entirely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Josh has a question.
I have a natural gas question before we get too far into your update. Is there a way, a lot of the confusion, I think, comes partly how long our billing cycle was. I think in January and February, I think January was like 34 days. February's bill was like 35 days. So I think a lot of confusion came there. But the CCF versus the therm, I think people get really confused on that. Is there any way to show a therm on our bills? I know there's probably a reason why we show CCF versus therm, but how the marketers are only showing therm. So that's the only point that people are trying to correlate our CCFs to. And I know the CCF is actually more than a therm. So
It's more accurate.
wise.
It's more accurate to measure in volume than the actual energy that's produced. And there is a conversion. We use it to convert from therms to CCF and back, but it depends on, weather conditions. It depends on the time of year and things like that. But we used to bill per therm, or we used to show the per therm rate on the bill. And that caused some confusion when we had both a per therm rate and a per CCF rate. So that's why we took the per therm off.
There's no perfect solution, but I think we've got to figure out something, because that was a huge conversation. I've heard lots of comments. I mean, my bill was more. But I get it was cold, so people just weren't factoring that in. So.
And it was very similar to the 97 cents on the screen, the per CCF rate.
Okay. Thanks, Troy.
Just one comment to add on there. So the therm is a measure of the heat content of the gas, which you can't meter that, right? So they estimate what that is and then apply it. But the actual measurement in the meters is accurate, and so that's why you bill in that way. I think the biggest difference between what people see advertised rates is those are typically just the cost of the gas, not the pipeline cost. That's an additional fee, where ours is bundled in, and that's why if you look up there at the top, it says for 141 therms, they estimate what the volume is and then divide that base rate into it as well. And so, when you account for the base rate and the actual gas cost, that's why we're lower than everybody else, because they don't advertise that. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
I can ask about the number of days in the billing cycle, but we have a system, we should be able to get to it unless there's some holidays or weather conditions interfered with it, so. One other Ridge Lake Park item I did want to mention, we have advertised for the parking expansion. We did receive 5 proposals from contractors for the addition of some 100 parking spaces for the park. We are evaluating those. I don't know that they're going to be ready for next week, so this may be something we present to you in April. We just want to make sure that all the responses were from qualified contractors who do this type of pervious paver work. As you see on the image too, we have constructed the playground. We are working on, our public works staff are grading the area for the pavilion and the area of the terrace seating overlooking the pond. So that's going on this week. So we do expect the pavilion should be ready in a couple of months, and we'll be able to activate that as well.
I've got one quick question. White Oak Elementary School had a pollinator garden. Is it still there? I think it's C.
Somewhere in here it is. I think there's a sign up somewhere.
Yes, Gary, go ahead.
So on the illustration we had in the e-packet, it was slightly different than this. The parking area A looked like it was much closer to the property line. May just be the way the drawings were done or whatever. But the concern I have there is if we're expanding that parking area A, there's not a lot of screening there. There's trees planted down there, but they're slow growth trees, smaller trees. I don't know, they're hollies or something like that. I think we need some more screening in that border if we're pushing the paved area in there. Other than that, I don't have a problem with it.
And if I may ask, the property line to the west or to the east or both? Or?
From this picture, it will be south, but given that that's, I guess that's actually probably southwest there, that diagonal line, go down.
Right here?
No, that one right there.
Yes.
Along that line. You can see straight through to some of the houses, and I know there was some screening planted, but I just don't think it's done the job. I think we need additional screening if we're expanding into that area. Thank you.
All right.
One other project that we're working on is the RFP for Roosevelt Collection. I think you've seen a drawing very similar to this last month. We are looking for site development services to build the infrastructure and the horizontal part of the construction activity. Those proposals are due on the 2nd of April. We'll know more about that here coming up pretty soon. We have also been working on a conceptual site plan for the Public Works Administration building on Hillcrest. This is largely the input of Joe Appling, who laid out a floor plan of needs for that area. It does sit up closer to Hillcrest, helps screen some of the lay-down yard in the back and some of the equipment and the materials that are stored to the landfill side. Zooming in, this is a little bit closer of what it looks like. So the driveway is going to continue in and provide 22 parking spaces for a new office building and break room here. This is the layout. It's got 6 private offices. We've got the superintendent. We've got 3 department heads, and then we've got 2 additional offices for expansion or general use or shared use. The administrative assistant would be in the main reception area, which comes off the parking lot. Not too much general public activity and use, but from time to time, vendors need to meet with staff. So, and then a break room off to the right.
Yes, yes, sir.
So I see what looks like 4 restrooms there. I have no problem with us building the building. I think it's great to do, but I think we should consider adding some showers to the facility for when we have storm issues or whatever, if they wind up having to stay there overnight, or just clean up during the day due to whatever they're exposed to. We had them added in this building, had them added in the old community center. I just think it's a good thing to add as we go. Wouldn't cost a lot, and probably just better to have as for flexibility and design it in now.
We do show one here. It's not labeled, and Joe did mention that. We're going to keep the old restrooms in the old building as well, so we'll have those plus this, but we can add another. Okay, yeah. Show you the pretty picture now. This is it's going to be a 4-sided brick, standing seam roof. Upgrade to what's out there now, for sure.
I love the big break room for them. They do a lot of group lunches and stuff, so that's cool.
That one is in the early design stage, so there's a lot more to come before we're ready with that. The roadway resurfacing project is out for bids. We will get those bids in tomorrow. We also, I think, are expecting an announcement here pretty soon about the amended 2026 state budget for the additional funding that typically comes. So we will add the additional streets that we are looking at to the recommendation and get that ready for you April, May at the latest. So these are the ones that are currently in the scope of work. That is all I've got.
Is that it?
We will do the rest next week.
All right. So as I said, we have no need for executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our work session. Have a motion from Gary. Is there a second? Second from Sam. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned until next Monday.